Okay, let's go on to part 2 about post-traumatic growth. What I want to do is let's look together at some of the particulars of post-traumatic growth. Unwind what happens after trauma. What are the participating events and actions that drive post-traumatic growth? Following a traumatic event, people self-identified the following. Relationships are enhanced and improved. Their self-value, their self-assessment and views change. They have changed their life philosophy. These are self-identified, not data evidence driven. Still, they're valid. They hold something. People see that in themselves, which is, I think, what we want to do. We want to know ourselves well enough in order to identify these things happening. In 1996, which is not that long ago, Tedeschi and Calhoun published the PTG inventory measuring the positive legacy of trauma. Link below as always. They introduced post-traumatic growth along with a tool to measure post-traumatic growth called the Post-Traumatic Growth Inventory. This is what's considered the start of PTG. The inventory identifies 5 factors: relating to others, new possibilities, personal strength, spiritual change, and appreciation of life. Clinical psychology works to moderate or eliminate negative emotional states. Positive psychology is focused on activating positive emotional states. PTG is about gaining more autonomy, environmental mastery, positive relationships with others, openness to personal growth, purpose in life, and self-acceptance. And the research at this point, and coming up, you'll see more, is examining the association between actual and perceived growth. Though perception is reality. If you perceive you're doing better, then you will be doing better. Bottom line, post-traumatic growth does occur, and it does occur following trauma and the trauma of grief. A great paper, also linked below, by Zoller and McInerney, really captures what are the cognitive factors and processes that may help predict post-traumatic growth. First, openness to new experiences. There are folks who identified as imaginative, emotionally responsive, and intellectually curious. Adversity equals strength for them. Hardiness and a sense of coherence. These folks have 3 sets of cognitions: commitment, challenge, and control. Commitment is all about curiosity, which I will say I'm curious. Challenge is about our expectation that change is what life is all about. Control is our belief that we can influence the course of events. Internal locus of control. Using personal resources to drive successful coping, or said this way, if you perceive personal growth and perception of controllability of the event, it becomes real. Positive reappraisal. During post-trauma, it is key how we review and assess the event, also known as working our asses off to process beneficial information. Acceptance coping. Post-traumatic growth was highest for those who used adaptive coping strategies, including positive reinterpretation, the use of humor, and acceptance coping. It was noted that this was associated with a highly stressful event. Sense-making and the quest for meaning. Trying to find meaning is central to psychological adaptation and association with the perception of post-traumatic growth. The authors noted, and quote, "The quest for meaning seems to be involved in post-traumatic growth, but post-traumatic growth is not necessarily linked to having found meaning." Rumination, taking a long, hard look at what happened and what you feel. It's important that rumination can be adaptive or maladaptive. The evidence here supports cognitive processing as helpful. In a paper by Prati and Peratoni, sorry about the crucifixion of the name, looking at 103 studies from 2009, surely there are more by now, and you'll get some numbers. They identified the following coping strategies: optimism, social support, spirituality, acceptance coping, reappraisal coping, religious coping, seeking support coping. There is much more to be found regarding PTG. The links below and your own searching will yield a trove of information about PGD. All of this speaks to how we heal, live with the trauma of grief. The next part of this series, part 3 coming up, will be my narrative. It is where I will match what I've been talking about here from the data to what my experiences were. And again, a lot of it is 20/20 hindsight, because I discovered post-traumatic growth after I'd been through my loss and after I've been through some of these exercises. So stick around, look at part 3, and we'll go from there. Thank you.